Hello, beautiful, wonderful people. It's me again, tripping over a branch currently. I'm in the amazing arboretum again. Just going to show you these amazing trees. Harlow is there somewhere. Maybe you can see him. I'm not seeing him at the moment, but he is somewhere around there, bounding about in this beautiful place. Again, amazing response to the video, another video, yesterday's video, excuse me. An amazing response again, just fantastic. And this time, really interesting comments. And it's nuts how these things can seem obvious, but not be obvious. And what I refer to is, I think most of us understand that the power of connection, that it's important to connect with other people, and when we do, we discover more. Having a conversation with yourself, you're going to possibly have a lovely conversation and get so far. But when you're having a conversation with someone else, you kind of build on what one another's saying. And then when you add more people to the mix, you build even more. And if you can be open and curious and sharing and exploring together, you can really discover some amazing things. And I guess if you really look at it, that's how society's been established, right? Is that we've tried things out, we've learned from it, and we've now got buildings and cars and airplanes and spacecrafts and you name it. But it all comes from connection, from sharing, from, call it what you will, whether you call it connection or you call it just hanging out with people and chatting or strategizing or whatever you call it. It's really important, and we find things that we didn't before. We can make sense of stuff. And whilst knowing that intellectually, a lot of the time we still don't seek it because it's not obvious enough. And a lot of the time when we've been in connection with other people, working out things and doing things, it's as a result of a scenario. So you're at work and you have a problem, so you've got to fix it. So you as a team then fix it, because in that context, that makes sense. You work as a team. But then when it comes to our own lives, or let's say a sports team, you work together, or whatever it may be. Now, in our own lives, our personal lives, we then have social life. So we join a sports team, or we join a social club, or otherwise. But that's going to be again, it's all around specific topics that are generally external to us, or we may have a relation to. But when within our own lives have something that we want to work out, I don't think the natural thing to do is to seek out community, connection, people to help work things out. And never before has it been more prevalent the case that how important it is to have it, that we are so isolated these days, and as we're chatting in previous videos, due to what's happened in recent years, COVID, the 2 wars we've gone through, the current one, the development of AI, everything's shifting, and nothing's to blame, but there has been outfall, there has been consequences, there have been cause and effect. And I think a lot of us don't recognize the level and depth of effect and impact it has had on us. Now, you add that into people getting to midlife and feeling like life is just coping on autopilot. We feel the weight of it. The weight is heavier, but we still don't define it. We don't know how to move forward. And it feels like it takes a huge amount of, it feels terrifying to look at these things, because it's unknown, it's not got measure. And let's be honest, our brains love measure, love to put things in a nice neat box, understand it, but when it comes to these things, you can't measure it. Soft things like feeling low, feeling hollow, feeling like life is on autopilot, feeling like you're just coping. There's no real way to measure that. It's just a feeling of that hollowness, or the feeling of just coping and trying to make sense of what it is that you're feeling, or just stuff it down, right? Ignore it, cover it up with something else, or cope by drinking alcohol or self-medicating in some other way, and just ignoring. And it doesn't go away, right? Temporarily, but cause and effect again. Using something to help you cope in one instance can be fine, but when it starts to become something you do all the time, it starts to moves from a habit into almost an addiction of it, and then it actually takes away from us, and now we add more weight and more heaviness onto where we're trying to find this lightness and way forward. And the really interesting part about it is that the ways forward are far more simple than we think, but they're hard to see, and can be quite difficult to execute because it takes that intention, that curiosity, and that repetition. But it's all possible, and it's all there. And the other layer on top of that is that it's largely subjective to each person, because our experiences, our knowledge, our beliefs, our skills, our everything we've had in our lives is different for every one of us. Again, as we've spoken before, even if two people were brought up in the same household, they can still see the world very differently. If you have siblings, you probably know what I'm talking about. And that's absolutely fine. In fact, it's beautiful and it's delicious and it's great. But what it does mean is potentially more unconscious isolation, because it's me. And let's be honest, there's that good old adage of, on the aeroplane, if there's an emergency, put on your mask first. But in reality, how many of us actually would? Hopefully we would, because it's very important. But what your natural inclination might be rather is to help all those around you, your children, your family, so it almost feels like it's a bit of a backwards action. So we don't prioritize ourselves, is the point. So then if I'm not going to prioritize myself and I'm prioritizing external, I can do so much until I run out and emptying the bucket. And this is an old cliche, but again, as we've said, cliches are cliches because they're generally right. But we end up not having any reserves left, so this just goes on and on, and this coping and this autopilot remains, and all we do is pile more medication, in inverted commas, or avoidance on top, and we don't actually get to the core part. The sustainable way forward is to look at those things, and it takes courage, because of all of what I've just said, which is we don't know, it doesn't have measure, and so it feels like you're kind of jumping off a cliff and having to just have faith. And that's not what this is about. This is about very tangible things that can help you move forward, and there are correlations and core parts of what happens. This is where it's simple when it comes to human beings, because at the core of it, we're all human beings. So then from there, with the right space and leadership and environment, I guess space is a really good, sort of a safe space where you can feel safe and supported and encouraged, is to then with that be able to discover these things for yourself. It takes time. It's not a competition, it's not a race. And the part that takes time is not the access of what you need to get to where you want to go. It is your shifting all of those beliefs around that you have around whether you deserve it, whether it's possible, how to get there, and that's the part that's shifting and takes time, but it is completely accessible. So let's just keep the conversation going. Check out the living room, where this is exactly what we do in the living room. As I work hard and tirelessly, after over a decade of doing this work, I've learned a lot about how to support people through these challenges, and love working with people in the group setting and in a one-to-one setting, to really help them understand and move forward, because it can absolutely be otherwise. And you can feel more fulfilled, not like you're coping and not on autopilot. Autopilot's not a bad thing necessarily, because our brains like to have automatic behaviors, but it's just a lot of what you might be autopiloting, the behaviors, might not be serving you, but you hold on to them because they did serve you at some point, and that's fine, but they just might not anymore. But unless you actually pay attention to them, that will just continue on until you do. So this is a space to help you do that. Just observe. I'm happy to offer anybody a call. We can jump and have a chat for 15 minutes, talk about what it is, talk about your life, your experience. It absolutely will not be a sales call. Don't panic. I just genuinely want to help people as much as possible. And that is why I have established the living room. So yeah, if you'd like to have a chat with me, just reach out directly or put a message in the comments. Let's get you there. It can be different, that I promise you. And let's get you there. Have a fantastic day from Harlow and I, who's diligently sitting here waiting for me. Let's have a look at his beautiful face. There he is. Hi, you're on TV, say hi. How handsome is that boy? Oh, my boy. My beautiful boy. So from the two of us, have a fantastic day.